Good morning, everyone. How are you? This is Mark Fisher, Emmy Fisher Funeral Home, with another episode. From Tombstones to TikTok, how funerals are evolving. What if funerals weren't just about saying goodbye, but also about celebrating life in a way that's as unique as the person we're remembering? From TikTok tributes to eco friendly burials, we're uncovering how modern funerals are blending tradition with innovation and how they're reshaping the way we honor our loved ones. Yeah, noticing tradition does not stand anymore. I guess what we're doing is creating new traditions. And a lot of that came from COVID. Yeah, the pandemic caused us to change everything that we do. Yes, it was a great thing. A lot of people don't like change, but I'm a person that loves change. So today, we're going to talk about how things are evolving, how we're doing it a little differently, how we even have two different forms of disposition. They're not legal in Virginia yet, but most states are gravitating to them because they're more eco friendly and they reduce the carbon footprint. Everything has to change, or we will not have an earth to live on. Normally, I do a few videos of foolishness I've seen throughout the week in funeral service, but not today. Let's go right into this presentation. Grieving from a different perspective. Death used to be one of those things that was very private and personal. Before we had modern media, they would put obituaries on the radio. In certain small rural towns and communities, and people learned about the death from the radio. Another thing that they did was they put door badges on the door. Um, Most of them were white bouquet of flowers, maybe about 2 feet high, and the funeral director would take it to the house, normally the day after they made the removal, and place it on the door because people just did not have newspapers that came out every day with obituaries. And now we have social media, it's in the palm of your hand, you know everything is changing. Funerals are evolving, and they are one of humanity's oldest traditions, but they're rapidly changing. Technology, sustainability, and personalization are driving these changes. In this episode, we're going to explore how modern funerals reflect a shift in societal values. Some traditional elements of a funeral, such as wakes, viewings, and memorial services, that's still foundational. That happens. People come to see the remains, they want to pay their respects, they want to visit with the family. But now we're adding a few modern twists to this situation. Hybrid and virtual services that allow distant loved ones to attend. We're using digital guestbook and online memory sharing platforms. We have non traditional venues now for our services. Some people will have a service at a park, a beach, rent a theater. I mean, the options are endless. It's how you would like to honor your loved one and share their personality in the service. That's what it's really all about. I'm gonna stop for 1 second. Doc Jones, how you doing? Thank you for being here with me today. Sorry I took a couple weeks off, had to work on a few things, make it work. But thank you for always being here. Also, my good friend Mark, Mark Rollison, how are you doing today? Thank you for tuning in and for all the guidance you gave me when I was making commercials back in the day. Again, as I was saying, the impact of the pandemic changed the funeral industry. Well, some of us, we here at Emmy Fisher Funeral Home, we were doing webcasting back in 2008. It wasn't a big thing then, but after the pandemic, people started calling it live streaming, and it almost became mandatory because if your firm wasn't offering that, because remember, only 10 people could come to the funeral. So live streaming brought the funeral directly into your home, your cell phone, wherever you were. People could be a part of the service. And it's important to blend this tradition with the modern flexibility to meet the needs of the family. Because truthfully, a funeral service is a community event. Everyone that person touched, impacted, feel the loss. And through civilization, we as people come together. And sometimes this technology makes it happen when we can't physically be there. Now, social media, it's just ripped the roof off. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, they have opened conversations about grief and funeral planning that we just didn't see 20 years ago. I mean, a person can share the death of your loved one quicker than you can tell anyone. And it's amazing how social media just takes off. It's as though we have a need to pass on information, and social media is the platform to make it go at the speed of light. It's amazing. Some ways people are sharing these things on social media are video tributes or any type of tribute with a hashtag. Hashtags are almost, I call them Google review searchable, because if a person has a hashtag, you put it in Google, every post with that hashtag will come up. So it makes more people see it quicker. As I said earlier, the live streaming services for accessibility. And I want you to think of something. Yes, we live stream the services, but we could also live stream the viewings for you. And the family could actually see from their home who's coming to view the remains. Yes, we could do that. We have a lot of grief influencers now on social media that are normalizing conversations about loss. We can agree that the passing of a loved one has a very big psychological and emotional impact on you. Most people do not seek therapy, and the only form of therapy they may find is on social media. And there are some platforms that give good, valid information. I'm not saying trust all of them, but it's out there to help a person start that grieving process so that life can quickly get easier. The benefits of social media, you get a broader sense of community and support during your grief process. As a post is made, you then get to see a lot of people will respond through a like, a care, a love. You'll also notice that people will pass it on to share other people. And I'm going to put this comment up right now. Brother Rollinson, I'm sorry. Some folks do need to be more considerate and have control because a lot of times the information is incorrect. I'm going to tell you about an instance we had about 2 months ago. A prominent individual from this city died, And he happened to work with a few other gentlemen, and all of them were friends, had similar names, but the last name was different. While on a funeral, I received a phone call that one gentleman had passed. Okay, I knew him. My grief and compassion went out to him. Then I had picked up another gentleman that morning. Guess what? The community had the two men mixed up. The man that was still living, that I was told had passed, walked in my door a week later to view her remains, and I jokingly said, Mr. So and I thought you were dead. I thought your funeral was last Saturday. He said, boy, somebody called my house and told me that they saw my name, and you better put some clothes on and get down there and let people know you are still living. Misinformation. Always check, verify, go to the funeral home website before you start spreading rumors, because it can really just tear somebody's life all to pieces for a minute. Just keeping it real. Now, the challenges and potential downside, privacy concerns. Do you really want it to be out there like that? We will have families that we're serving, and they'll tell us we don't want anyone to take photos. That's easier said than done. So what we'll do is normally post a sign beside the remains saying no photos, please. A family has a right to have their loved one presented to the public the way they would like. Not the way the public wants to, the way the family wants to. When in church and we have viewings, people come up two by two to view. If you have a camera in your hand, I'm going to ask you, please do not take a photo. It's not ethical. To me, it's tacky. Why are you wanting a photo of this person deceased in the casket? Yeah. And it also can be performative, causing grieving and judgment from other people. Does a family need this extra stress with this going on? No, they don't. So let's think about this as we go to these events, about the privacy of the family and the respect of the family. Social media is helping people grieve publicly, creating support networks that didn't exist before. But it also raises questions about privacy and boundaries. And families, when you experience a death, if you do not want photos or social media coverage, tell your funeral home. Tell them. They will not post as many things. They may not do the live streaming. Every service is catered to the family. We do exactly what you would like us to do. Some sustainability and eco-friendly practices rather. The growing popularity of cremation and green funerals is really changing the industry as well. Cremation now in my community is at about 60 to 65%. A lot of that is a funeral followed by a cremation. But cremation has really risen as a form of final disposition. Natural burials are beginning to rise as well, where the body is not embalmed, placed in a biodegradable casket, and it returns naturally to the earth. Saying that, biodegradable caskets and urns are becoming more popular. Convers- Conversational burial grounds that double as nature preserves. Now, I've ran across that on the internet. Yes, we have some conservation grounds that double as nature preserves, and the body is normally planted in a pod of a tree. and the tree grows from the body. Now, we also have two new technologies in the industry. They're not legal in Virginia yet, but one is in North Carolina, and terramation is growing across the country as well. Aquamation is truthfully water based cremation. It's been before the General Assembly in Virginia. The State Board of Funeral Directors has done a study on it, and I'm thinking within the next 5 years, it will start taking over cremation. Terramation, a totally different concept, where the remains is taken to a human composting facility, and as the body breaks down, it's then returned to the earth as natural soil. These are very different concepts, but they reduce the carbon footprint. Eco friendly options tend to appeal to the younger generations who prioritize sustainability. The funeral industry's response to these trends is to provide more green alternatives. Today's families aren't just thinking about the legacy their loved ones leave behind, but they're thinking about the environmental footprint. Now, 10 years ago, how many people did you know had an electric car? Okay. The younger generation got tired of gas, the carbon footprint, the ozone layer being destroyed, Amazon forest shrinking, and they start switching. Yeah. Now, every major automobile manufacturer makes an electric car. Just think about it. Things change. Personalization and storytelling. Funerals now are shifting from somber ceremonies that celebrate life, everybody wearing black, playing slow, dragged out, sad songs, people crying, falling out. They don't want that anymore. They want it to be something happy, something to celebrate that person's life. A few ways that is happening: people are using curated playlists of that person's favorite songs, and they may not be religious or gospel songs. What's wrong with that? The decor and settings that reflect a loved one's passings. Maybe showing sports. They were avid football fan. Maybe they had hobbies. Here, two true stories. We buried a few musicians, and we not only displayed their guitar. One guy played bass, put it in his hands because the family told us so. When the people came to view, he had his bass in his hand. Yeah, what's wrong with that? People are using some unique send offs like fireworks. You can have your cremains sent into space. You can. Mm-hmm. There's services that do it, but guess what? They have some big price tags, but the options are available. We can have a themed service. It's what you want. The rise of storytelling in memorials. Eulogies are focusing on people's advancements, the quirks of that person, memories of that person. We're using more visual displays like videos, slideshows to highlight the life of that person. The funerals are turning away from that sad, somber ceremony into a celebration of life. And again, funerals are becoming a reflection of individuality, honoring not just how someone passed, but how they lived. Funerals are blending tradition with innovation. Social media is changing how we grieve as well as remember. Because I think Facebook has something called a legacy feature, whereas when you pass, what happens to your account? They're wanting to even keep your memory somewhere in cyberspace. We're more considered about sustainability and personalization, and that's leading to change for our modern families. At the core of these trends is a universal desire to honor loved ones meaningfully. The way we say goodbye is changing, but what remains constant is the love and memories that we carry forward. Let's reflect on our own values and legacy and to share their thoughts on these evolving trends. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all for today. Something short, something to think about, knowing funeral service is changing. Nothing remains the same. And if you have questions, ask your funeral home or funeral director. They can guide you in the right direction. Thank you. It's been a great day. Leave a comment. Peace.